All right, we'll do the obligatory horizontal filming today because one day maybe I become viral and people want to watch something other than my shorts. Well, the shorts on YouTube, not my actual shorts. And of course, I'm wandering around looking for something, and it's right where I left it. Progress today. So, last I left you, we did a lot. So, we've started filling fluids as we finished up a lot of our systems. The radiator fluid is filled up. We're going to burp the air out still, so we'll leave that on. Power steering's filled. Yes, I used transmission fluid I have for 25 years and had no issues. It is a high-grade hydraulic fluid, so that's why we're using it. And brake fluid's good. 10 quarts of oil in there. I've got 8 quarts in the tranny, and we'll top that off after first start because it's pretty high up the dipstick at the moment. Take a look at some. We've got our fans installed. Got our derail high performance fan controller. We've got to position that, clamp that. We've got a few clamps to tighten up on the air intake. I was doing work under there, and I still need to do a little bit of wiring, tidying up underneath that, so that'll come out and we'll make do with that. There's our battery positive we talked about before. That'll be on there like that. I've got to run the starter solenoid cable in. Got to do that. I've already forgotten what this is for. Oh, this is the fan control. This is for the fan controller. So we got to bundle these up, put them through the firewall. There's a hole down yonder right there for the old starter battery positive remote position for the old gauge. So we'll use that, the old 2-gauge wire. We'll use that for our pass-through hole for those. We put it on the ground, and it was really close to the ground. If you watched any of my shorts, you'll see it. It was like 2 inches off the ground. Oh, son of a gun. We're leaking. Where are we leaking from? Where is this coming from? This is my little overflow. It's a tranny bottle, tranny fluid. That's not overfilled. This is a lot of coolant. We've got a drip here. Right there. Maybe it was just coming out of the... Yeah, it definitely is. Look. There's a drip right there. So just coming over out of our fill apparatus. God, there's nothing worse than stepping on coolant. Well, I'm sure there is worse things, but like holes and nails, and well, some people can do that. That's a party trick. But I hate it when it's on the floor. It gets on your shoes. Ugh, it's gross. We'll try to put something on this shit. All right, whatever. We'll handle that later. Yeah, so that's where what we were talking about. So it was really low to the ground, and it was only like 2 inches of clearance with the tranny or the engine oil pan. But now I put the stock springs back in, and I put this coil spring booster rubber in the thing, and I'm up to like 4-inch plus ground clearance. I'm not on the ground right now, but it's a lot better. I just got down here to show you the pan's relationship to the cross member, so you can get an idea if you're doing the swap. It hangs down there. It's probably 3 inches. So you've got to figure some things out because this is a lot heavier trans and engine. So I've got a truck. I'll show you one of the... If you look at some of my old videos, you'll see it. It's got a big block in it. The Allison transmission pan's 2.5 inches from the ground, and I drive that thing all over the place, and it works, so that's my minimum height, and 4 inches will be fine for this. I've mounted the seat back in it to get my shifter position set up. We've also run the cable through the floor. We've run the transmission harness as well through the floor there. This is a TCI, what do they call these things? Ratchet shifter from TCI. I like it. It does really well for me. And it's a good price too. The ratchet shifter prices can get out of control. This guy's good. So we're in park. Pull up once. We're into reverse. Neutral will fall into third. There's third and fourth, which in reality are the two most used gears. So I like how this goes like this. You know, you don't really need second. This thing is so light with such motor. First gear is unneeded as well, even from starting position, but it'll go to first. And what's nice is you can easy shift this through without having to pull the release, right? Which is nice. So if you're just driving normal, you can go beep, 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 right? Not to slam things, but you can get wild if you want to be cool. Go bang, 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 right? It's a good one. I like it. Highly recommend it. I'm going to be doing some cool wiring with the transmission. If any of you are familiar with doing the manual electric 4L80, I've run it for years. It does really well. So we're doing that on this again. And something that I do that's different than a lot of people is I integrate this pulse width modulating controller I got off Amazon, and you'll wire that in with C and D, pulse control solenoid, pressure control solenoid, and that way you can dial in your line pressures, so you're not running full line pressures all the freaking time, which will break hard parts and all sorts of other things. This 2015 332 PDF from this website is critical. Some critical steps here for your understanding of how this whole thing works. If you're not familiar with it, there's a component inside the transmission called a pillow switch. And oh, the pillow switch was on this one. So this is the combination of the solenoid A and B that we need to be in said gear, right? So they need to be on or off in these patterns. And we can obtain that. Just so happens that these are just switches that complete a ground circuit on those terminals, 3-pin terminal connectors. They create a ground circuit after the fluid pressure in their associated hydraulic channels is present, and that closes that switch. And we can use that to trigger the grounds for our solenoids, A and B, and it just so happens in the proper combinations. And this pillow switch sees pressure based on your manual valve, which is connected to your shifter. So it just so happens that all this works. And this article's got all the data if you want to dig into it more. And you do want to do some of these pump modifications because you're going to be running higher than normal pressure. It's going to be unregulated, basically. But I utilize this. So I did some of these. I'm not sure that I did it all. But I did do some of these to the pump. And what I'm going to do with this bolt, in reality, most of the time, you know, I'll dial it in to where I want it. Half line pressure, whatever the case is. We'll get that dialed in. And then this thing, I'm going to tie to a micro switch. And that micro switch will be bolted onto our shifter. And you've probably seen micro switches in action on shifters all the time for certain things, like a neutral lockout, park neutral, safety switch situation, reverse lights. So on this one, I'm going to utilize it to only power that pulse width modulating controller when my shifter is in D4, so fourth gear, neutral, reverse, and park. So when this thing's in park, reverse, neutral, or 4D, we're turning down the pressures on the pump, so we're not stressing things out. And we'll activate that switch off of this ramp in here. So I'm basically going to have like a long fingered micro switch that will push on, you know, will be triggered off either the top or the bottom. We'll figure that out later. So that when I get out of fourth into third and second and first, that switch will be disengaged. The pressure control module will shut off because it won't have power. That will give default full line pressure in first, second, third, right? Which is what we want. And then we'll go into fourth and we'll start getting our pressure control so we can just chill out and cruise and whatnot. And then I'll have just a manual switch like I always do for the torque converter lockup. And that'll be a little bit extensive. We're getting into that part. We're going to have extensive electrical to do. Today, I'm probably just going to spend the rest of the day labeling everything here. I've got some seam sealer coming to seal up that panel gap. Well, it's not much of a gap at all, just to be a little bit more professional and try to seal off a lot of smells and heat and all sorts of draft that will be coming through here. But I think the mechanicals are all finished up. I can't think of much else. So we're moving on to the electrical part. And then shortly after that, if I can afford to buy diesel, I'll buy some diesel. I'm sure it'll be fine. But we'll put some diesel in and start it. It's getting really close. It's getting really close here. I don't know what I'll do with the interior. I know I want to do something. This is a little bit of a beater, you know. It doesn't look like dog shit or anything, but it's a good 50 footer. It's a good 20 footer. It's a nice driver quality. It's something Vice Grip Garage could be proud of, I think. Getting out of bingo. Everyone will be like, oh, is that your ride? Yeah, if anybody knows, you know. If you know, you know. Got to do some painting on the grill. I'm going to mask it off because it's got these two unpainted aluminum sections. So I want to retain that look, and we got to paint the headlight buckets, or what are they, trim rings. And she's coming along. I think that's about it for catching y'all up. I'm anticipating a start problem, and we'll work through that together because I've seen some issues with these piezoelectric based Duramaxes. There's something to do with on the return lines. There's these return lines that are on the back of all the injectors, and the way, I guess it's difficult to hold the piezo's closed or something, or I don't know. There's some relationship I got to look into more. They need a little bit of fuel back pressure for them to function correctly. And now that this has been dry for so long, they're not going to have that. So I watched a video about it. I got to watch it again. I don't think this thing is going to kick right over. We'll have to figure that out. And one last thing. Oh, I just remembered. We'll have to see. I don't think this engine had a lot of blow-by, but frankly, I don't think I really looked into it too much, unfortunately. But we got to figure out what we'll do with the PCV breather. If this thing's like just blowing shit out of it, oil and whatnot, which I think it might, we'll have to put a hose on it and figure out where we're going to route it and another apparatus. Oh, I don't know if I got into this with you guys. So power steering system, this is like a Nissan something power steering reservoir, and we just modified it to work here for us. Built this little bracket, put it here, ran the return there, blocked off the Hydro Boost system's return port on the bottom there. We also have a vacuum brake system that we installed. I put the vacuum pump, we're going to sneak you down there. I put the vacuum pump down underneath the booster. Right. Oh, they got nothing. You can't see nothing. There it is. So you see the little chrome bit. I made this little strap hanger out of muffler tape, they call it, or plumber's tape, I forget. This is a really nice vacuum kit I bought from T-Master on Amazon. That sensor is the highest quality shit I could find. Those other ones that you see for like $20 are garbage. Don't risk your life on a $20 switch, okay? Yeah, so get that kind. $200. Comes with a harness, harness with all the connectors, relay, leads, everything. And I've already, oh, am I upside down? Already tried it out and it works really well. I think that's it for today.